All right. We just need to get the actual stream link posted. Should be good to go. What's up? What's up, 12 a.m. people? Welcome back, Agent 4. What's going on? Welcome to the stream. This stream will definitely not be as long as the previous one. The last one was like 4 hours. This one will probably be 1 or 2 hours. But welcome. Alright. Welcome back. Alright, I can actually close Discord now. So let me actually shut that down. How are we doing? I was playing Reeflux earlier with when Mia was here. They're level 4 now, so they picked Tri-Stringer. So we're gonna try and get them, at least when they come back, we're gonna try and help them get higher. Because we kind of do need more bow players around here. Waluigi's taco stand. Let's go. I might actually make that a channel meme if I'm gonna be honest. I probably should actually do that. Kirby didn't stream again today, so I guess I'm doing overtime for her technically, since I keep streaming. I'll find someone to make it a meme. I might port it as my as a sticker. Oh, there's 2 of these guys. I remember when I had it as my ringtone in, I believe, 2022, early 2022. During the Omicron wave, I remember like being in school and having it ring during the middle of class. It's a bit embarrassing, but it was funny because I forgot that my phone was on. To be honest, I've had numerous close calls when my phone was on and I felt it, but I couldn't really turn it off or anything. Because then I would get a detention, and I don't want that. Well, not detention, but I have my phone taken away. We played it for an hour on loop. It is a pretty good song. It is a pretty good song, I will admit that. Like, I can't be mad, it's a good song. I'm not doing too well right now, but that's a good song. I mean, I could technically get to making my own music, technically. I could do that. I'm on my old laggy tablet because I kind of lost my phone. Oh. Okay. I mean, that's not the worst thing ever. At least you still have, like, a tablet. Where'd you lose your phone to, though? Like, what happened to your phone? Like, did you drop it somewhere? And that's why it lost? That's why you lost it? Or, like, what happened? I don't know where my phone is. I went to have it. Went to a coffee shop and might have left it there. Not sure, but yeah, that's a possibility. You can, if you know a website called Track My Phone, you could probably find it that way. If you know the password to your email, you could find it. That happened to me once when I left my phone in the Uber. As for coffee shops, I haven't been to one. And I don't plan to be to one anytime soon. So I don't really drink coffee. And I'm not really thinking of drinking anything indoors at the moment. That's not my own house. That should have killed. I don't know what happened there. My mom used to drink coffee, but they don't drink too much of it anymore. They used to drink coffee. It's kind of just a thing they don't do anymore. Well, my teammates are not very good. I think I'm messing up. I just go to coffee shops that have ice cream there and stuff. I don't like coffee. Oh. I mean, if I'm going anywhere, I probably would just take takeout at this point. There's no real reason to eat inside the building. It's either you just like pick it up and take it home, or if they have an outside option, you just eat it outside. At least I remember for my birthday, it wasn't a coffee shop, but it was an ice cream shop. I didn't eat any of the ice cream when I was actually in the store. I had to wait. I waited until after I got in the car. And then when I got home, that's when I actually ate it. I didn't touch it at all when I was in the store. That was in August, though. It's not like it changes too much. You like to eat inside because it has those cute little booth things there? I wouldn't blame you, yeah. That's a good reason to. I mean, for me, though, it's more just like, do I want to be okay? Is mainly what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think I've ever really eaten outside my own house anyway. Like, that's just a habit I have. I mean, it's always also the safer option, is the better option, since you can always add stuff to it. You're not necessarily in another person's space where you can't necessarily control everything. The only real time I was kind of forced to eat inside was in basically elementary school up until, how would I say, high school. Not high school. Up until like 8th grade, technically. Ever since I've been in person school, since 2021, I've been eating outside. And then last year I stopped eating inside because I realized that it's a big mistake. Coffee shop I go to also has not too many people there. Also French for some reason. Interesting. I mean, I don't know who's around here. Not even gonna lie. I know there's a lot of different groups of people around here, but they don't live where I am. They live not too far away, but they don't live where I live. If that makes any sense. I don't know, because once I kind of learned that, like, eating outside is peaceful, and then you can also, like, make loud music, will play loud music and not have like a health risk to you, it's pretty good once you realize that. The only main thing downside I've noticed, at least for me, is the fact that since I'm actually in the cold, my hands actually have issues since I have eczema. That's the main issue I've actually noticed. That, oh wow, my hands actually, it's been multiple winters of being outside eating. The hand texture is a lot different than what it was. It's not as soft as it was. It's pretty rough now. And the hand hurts when I put it in water, so. The cost for eating inside. I don't necessarily regret it, though. Because the other options, being in the house for 2 weeks or worse, so I'd rather not have that going on. Oh, well, maybe I should probably take more of my own advice, at least when it comes to, probably, like, apply that to also eating, because I probably eat too much. So if I were to curtail that and actually I guess exercise, I should be perfectly fine. At least long term, I should be perfectly fine. I killed him. For some reason, if I spam the heart thing in the corner, the lurkers do it to any stream I'm in. I mean, that's probably just their way of saying hi, you know. Or it could just be an automatic YouTube thing, I wouldn't know. Because one person that I have hidden on the channel, I'm not sure if they're a robot or not. Because it's very hard to tell since they don't actually respond to any messages that you send to them. So I wonder if they have a unique trigger. Just like kind of an interesting thing for me. No, because now, like, the more choices I'm making, Like, in some of them, I'm feeling really good that I made the decision, like, early, before other people made it. Some things I still have to work on with talking to people. That's the main issue I've noticed I have an actual problem with. Effective communication is a big problem for me. I've always really had that problem with people, where actually communicating with them is much more difficult. Especially since the stuff I talk about has almost nothing to it has no fun value, let's just say that. Almost everything I'm talking about is like a serious issue. Like a serious problem that a person would need to have a decent amount of time speaking to someone else to actually understand what they're talking about. Like, they would need to know a lot. And it's not a fun conversation either, so people don't want to have it. That's kind of the issue I have, because the majority of things I talk about are scientific. I don't really talk about too many fun things. Could never talk about anything serious? You mean like in your real life, or are you just saying that you personally, like, you can't do it yourself? I don't know. I probably have to read that again. Because I don't know if you mean like you can't talk seriously, or that you never get the opportunity to. Because for me, that opportunity is kind of slim, but I do it anyway since it's basically my personality. Part of it, at least. Which I guess builds into why I'm sometimes arrogant, because people don't like talking about serious things. And when they seem uninformed and like they do stuff that seems very dumb, it kind of supports how I feel. I probably think that's the reason why. It's not usually like I think I know everything. It's just that I think I know more than the person I'm talking to, which happens to usually be correct. And then when they actually do stuff that makes me surprised, I'm like, oh, this person isn't the person I thought they were. This person knows a lot more. Oh, okay. I know what you mean. Yeah, I think that for me is usually an issue. I just kind of push through it. I just usually kind of push through it. That's what I do. I mean, what do you usually try to talk about? Even if you try to talk seriously. Because, I mean, this is like a channel where you could do that. The only thing you can't do is, like, I guess, harass somebody. But other than that, you can talk seriously. And I won't really mind. You just have to kind of explain what you mean to me. For me to actually really get it. I definitely had those conversations where people just say they're not serious people. But then, when it comes to serious topics, it becomes a lot harder to actually say anything because they aren't that serious. They're not really too invested in actually knowing what you're trying to say or what you're trying to get across. So it's a lot harder to actually talk to them. Like, I feel like I can boil through people's points pretty easily, but I think actually trying to understand them is the hard thing for me. Because the person I was talking to, who unadded me, at least in, I think it was in November, like, their family, like, believes in crystals and stuff like that. And they're basically in the middle of nowhere. Essentially. So because they're in the middle of nowhere, they don't really have too many other groups of people around them. And stuff they get on the internet, that's just the moms involved in crystals, it's not really too factual. Especially with the movies that they're watching. Like, I think it was Path of Freedom or something. I think that's the movie where they talk about human trafficking. Because their mother is very, like, you know, like, human trafficking kind of thing. So for me, I was like, okay, this might actually kind of be a warning sign, at least politically. Hey, very cool guys, what's going on? My friends get into drama, and they ask me for advice. But when I say advice, they get upset, even if I say that's just what I think, and they don't have to listen. Yeah, people do tend to be like that. I will admit, people are like that, unfortunately. Shouldn't have to be that way. But yeah, their family basically believes in crystals. Like they told about how they have like arguments in the house. And how they have fights between them, even though like when I actually listen to them, it's like what they're thinking is harming them, but they don't even know it. Like their parents don't even know like why they're sick right now. And they're using like I don't even know what they're doing anymore. Bye, very cool guy. Thanks for coming by. I don't even know what they're doing anymore, to be honest. Because I mentioned to them like, hey, I know like you probably don't want to hear this, but if you don't do these things based on what you told me before, and how you almost died because of your friends, not friends, but your classmates telling you not to worry about something, you probably should try to do something about your health. You probably should be trying to do the things I'm telling you to do. So you're not like constantly sick over the winter, and don't like make your already bad disabilities worse. Like that's what I was trying to get across to them. Since they have a digestive issue where it's harder for them to process food, and they have memory problems because they had COVID-19 twice. One time in March of 2020 and then another time probably sometime after that. So they already have brain damage to a degree, and they can't even remember that a Discord conversation was open. Even if it was like 15 minutes ago, they forget that the thing was even open. So their short-term memory is shot, which is very bad. And I know they're a nice person, like they care about people. They try to at least. But them not being able to remember stuff like that is very odd, I would say. It's very odd. Because then like a day passes and like they're all back to normal, which is super weird because they were just angry the other day. Like it doesn't seem like their brain is where it should be. Like something actually feels kind of wrong. Like their memory is so like discombobulated, short term, that it doesn't effectively work. Like they're not remembering stuff, and that's why schoolwork for them is so hard. If they don't know why they're not sick, they only know this because they didn't miss school. But I keep trying to tell them like, you're getting sick because you went to school. You weren't like this over the summer. And I guess they also mentioned to me like they wanted to go to their grandma's house, but like that was the last day of the amusement park being open, so they wanted to go there instead. Like, very questionable choices, at least for me. Very questionable. That they were making, at least from my perspective, since why would you want to go to the amusement park? Like, you have grandparents, school is going to be starting soon, you might as well see them, because the amusement park can always wait. your grandparents might not necessarily be there or in a good shape in the not too distant future, so you should probably actually go visit them. I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to. Because I don't think it will be right for them. I have 2 friends at school, but the problem is that I don't feel comfortable with the physical touch with people. Not only if they are very close to me, I tell them that, but they don't listen. Okay, so you're a more like, I guess, introverted type of person? Not introverted, but like, you care more about yourself to a degree, I think. At least from what you're saying. I mean, to be honest, I barely hug people who are close to me. Like, I don't mind when mom touches me. Is this the only thing, like, when they, like, poke me, like, when they're trying to point something out? It feels very weird. It feels very weird, because, my body is very ticklish, so I tend to have reactions pretty fast. Where I try to shield the area because the effect is so strong. I think it's also because I have a lot of fat. So that's probably also why it feels like that. In school, it's not usually like that. There's not really a lot of physical contact. It's more just people asking me questions. Now, from a personal standpoint, the main thing for me wasn't really touching people, it was more just staring at them. That's always the thing I know that I do, like subconsciously. I just stare at people. Even if I don't really like them, I just stare at people. Which I think has always been uncomfortable to people around me. Which is understandable. I think in like, especially there was just an issue in 6th grade. Because I kept staring at 2 people. 2 girls in my science class. I couldn't really stare away. Because they were always in like the part of the classroom where I was kind of always have to be looking. Because that's where the important stuff was. Just not looking at people felt extremely weird. At least for me, it was hard not to. But you didn't want to let them know because you knew they were gonna get like, "Why are you looking at me?" kind of thing from that far away. It's kind of hard to manage. I still kind of have that issue when I just stare at people. Like, it's mainly like, what are they doing? I think it's mainly only around girls, though. I'm gonna be honest. Like, my anxiety goes up more. Although it's not really even anxiety, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's anxiety. I think it's more just like being like, I think, afraid of like what they're gonna perceive me as. I don't really know. Because having people stare at me is a very interesting thing. I don't know, like last year at school, I was perfectly fine with people touching me, even if we weren't close. Talked so much, but this year I moved, and now I'm so different. It's weird. I mean, did anything significant happen last year? Like for me, the main thing, like I think that usually is a warning sign for me is usually like people who are older than me asking about it. Look, I feel like it's very weird, because I'm conscious like around how people act in actual life. I'm conscious of that. But looking like an image or something is completely different. Or thinking something in your head is a lot different than the person actually asking you a question. I mean, for me, it's not usually, I wouldn't say, like, all stares are accidental, because I do have, like, I tend to look for certain people more often than others. It's just that particularly staring into a person, like, at, like, the level where they can see you doing it constantly, that's more accidental for me, because I don't intend to do it, it's just something I do. I think that might also be the fact that I tend to look at what other people do a lot, and then try to make judgments based off of that. Because, according to my mom, I am a very judgmental person. Which, they're not wrong about. I am a very judgmental person, because I look at everything people do. And then I make assumptions and judge you based on how you act, etc. Like, not really the person to give too many second chances. Like, I give second chances, but I don't really give second chances. Depending on what it is. I'm either with your stepsister or stepdad, but I think that's the only difference I could think of. Oh no, I'm only with my mom right now. There's a veteran downstairs. The main thing that changed from 2021 to 2022 is that there's more privacy in the house now. There's not as many arguments as there was before. Because the people who were here, who left in 2022 because mom picked them out, are no longer here. So there's more privacy now. Oh no, like when I say I'm judgmental, that doesn't mean I'm always gonna, that wouldn't mean I'm always gonna say something. But I tend to say stuff, especially when I notice things have been going on for a longer period of time. Like when I've been analyzing a person, like they've been saying this on this server while I was trying to talk to them, or X, Y, Z. Like their friends don't, their people at school don't really like them, or stuff like that. I tend to analyze that pretty often. Like when people get sick, I analyze that, I write that down in my head mentally. That, oh, this is the time that happened. This is how many times I've been sick. Hey, you should probably not do this. You should probably not do that. Hey, what's going on here? Like, I tend to bring things up to people when they least expect that I was actually looking at. Because they expect most people not to care about what they're doing. Which is not really me. Like, if you're doing something, I'm probably watching. And like, saying, interesting. And like, keeping a mental note of it for later. That's usually what I do. I keep a mental note of things. And that's why I usually like trying to ask questions that answer multiple other questions, because it helps a lot more understanding the person and what I can actually say that they can actually do. Like, I can't really judge how a person acts, but after a certain point when you've actually spoken to them, it's mainly like the questions where they say like one thing where, oh, this is how my parents feel about this, or this is how I feel about that. Or they talk a lot about this. But then the question from there is, yeah, but in what way? Because that's the actual important question. Like, I don't, like, when I was speaking to, I think it was Moon, I think it was, we were having a conversation about their parents. I think it was sometime in September, I believe. They're not really a serious person, but I could tell they can be serious, but you have to build them up to that point. They did say I'm not the person they would say you have a serious conversation with, which is interesting, because they don't know me as much as I know them, which is a very, like, weird thing to say, but it is true. They don't really know that much about me in comparison, because at least for them, it's a lot easier for me to understand or guess who they are, because not only do I know like what they sound like what their opinions are, I also know what they look like, and their actual names. Surprisingly, the name part was accidental, but I actually know those things, so I know more about them than they do, and even I don't know that much about them because I haven't talked to them enough. Like, I was having a conversation to them about, like, you should probably, I think almost every conversation I'm having now is about, like, I think disease at this point. Like, I was asking them, like, why don't you do stuff to protect yourself? And I think it was, like, they don't want to think about, like, I think it was COVID anymore. They didn't want to think about it anymore, mainly because their parents kept bringing it up. But the question I wanted to ask was, and I still need to ask this question to them because this is the only important question that actually matters in that entire conversation, is like, in what way are they actually thinking of it? Because if they sent you guys on a cruise in the middle of summer, clearly they're not thinking of it in a cautious perspective, because they would never have sent you on that cruise if they did. They would never have done that. So, my main question is, in what way are they thinking of it? Because then that will make everything else a whole lot easier to answer. It's not, oh, okay, like, okay, I know that, but I still have, like, a bunch of questions, just like, oh, they do this, but they don't do that, they don't do this, but they do that. So that makes it a lot easier to say, okay, you could probably get this, but not this and that. So then that actually gives me an actual ability to see, okay, your parents probably won't do much for you, or they'll probably do a lot for you. So you have an advantage. The only thing you have to change is you, or send the links to them, or just be like serious about what you're doing. It really just depends on like that main question, because that's the only one that matters. Because in like every conversation, there's key questions that you have to ask that answer pretty much everything else. Because you can ask a minor question, but a minor question's only gonna answer itself. You want to find questions that answer other questions, so you don't have to go put more energy into the conversation to figure out what you need to do, and then you can put more energy into actually solving it. Like I know they have issues with people at school. If I can find a way to actually get them to talk about it and cut down on the amount of conversation I have to get to that point, then I think it would be a lot easier. Because for me personally, people not picking me in groups is a very common thing. I understand it. I don't necessarily hate it. But I understand it very well, since that's something that has basically been me the entire time I've been alive. I don't really have people who pick it up like that. And yes, there are people who wanted to work with me sometimes, but that was mainly because people only really, at least for me, in class, like, I think differently than a lot of people in my class do. And since, at least in some of my class, I'm the smart kid, so when I have an opinion, people tend to pick up that opinion. So like, in environmental science class, for example, we were discussing whether a cow is a predator or not. And I was thinking in my head, it is a predator, since anything that eats another organism is a predator, by definition, since it has something that it has to hunt to survive. And that was right. Most people didn't think that way, but when I opposed it and raised my hand, suddenly other people raised their hand, because, hey, the guy who has the 100 average in the class can't be wrong, right? Which I'm actually kind of still mad about, that I was stupid enough to miss an assignment, so this is my second trimester where there was a chance to get a 100% on full trimester, but I messed up. So I gotta try again next trimester. Yeah, my voice is kind of relaxing. I'm not sure what about it though. I guess you would probably know more, since you said it was relaxing. Like, what's relaxing about it, at least in your opinion? I would say for me it's quiet. I guess it's because it's quiet and it's articulate, it's relaxing. It's not really an energetic voice. This is how I normally speak to people. I think this is like I think this is my normal voice where I'm just like lecturing. Because I feel like if the person is in a angry state, this is a terrible voice to have them listening to. But if the person's in a calm state, this is the perfect voice for them. I just have to find the right context for it. You don't know why? To be honest. I mean, you could think about it. You have time. I mean, it's like 12 a.m. over there. I don't know how much time you actually have to think about it, but you have time. I'm doing terribly. I think like probably I would actually try and have like more serious conversations in general. I probably would try to have them with Ruby since they texted around like in the afternoon, especially in September for me. So I feel like maybe I should have more serious conversation with them since they seem like an interesting person. Like they have a YouTube channel. They watch my channel when they didn't have much on their own channel. Like they were here. And they like playing on the channel. They like private battles. They have Nightbot. Although they say they don't have the patience for a website. I said that they actually do. Because at least for Ruby, they have plenty of time since they're homeschooled to be able to do something if they wish to do it. Like if she was able to get her work done at a decent time and was able to, like, I think was able to bang stuff out the way, and then after that get on Discord or something like that, social media, get active, have that in the background while they're doing something else, have that open, they'd be able to do, I think, more. Simply because they have more time to do it. Like, if they need to talk to people on Discord, they have that ability to do so. They have the perfect amount of time to actually build a decent server and to learn these things because they're homeschooled. Now, their bedtime is probably pretty early. By my standards, it would probably be around 10, 11 p.m. since they have parental controls that shut down their Switch at 10 p.m. EST. So that would have been about 3 hours ago. But when they wake up in about... It's 1 a.m. now, where I am. So they'll wake up in about 7 to 8 hours. So in about that amount of time, they won't really have too much to do. They have their new puppy. They can start streaming if they need to. And then they can work from there. Like, they have time to do things. I think it may just be mismanagement. Kind of like with what I'm doing, because I tend to mismanage my time. Like, with that website, I was basically... It technically was a mismanagement of time since I put my schoolwork as a secondary thing to get that thing done. And ow. Like, Ruby made a post about it. My post didn't do as great on it, but I still have the website out. I'm still trying to update it and still trying to add more stuff to it as time goes on. I gave her access to it to see if she wants to change it or not. Which, they might change it. Especially as the future goes on, if they want to add stuff. Because she does want to be her own popular YouTuber. That's what that's her dream. To be one. And I will try to help her on that. Because I can actually probably help. Because I kind of know how to do YouTube somewhat. Although I literally started doing YouTube, well, at least the current era of me trying to do YouTube was when I was 12. I am 17 now, even though I probably don't sound like a 17-year-old, if I'm going to be honest with you. I definitely don't look like a 17-year-old, but I don't sound like one either. And by what I mean, I don't look like a 17-year-old. I look like an adult, but I don't speak no. I look like an adult. I speak like an adult in terms of like the content of what I'm saying, but I don't actually sound like an adult with how my voice sounds. It doesn't sound like one. At least not yet. I don't think it sounds like one. It's definitely not a child's voice, but it's definitely not an adult voice just yet. I haven't reached that point yet. Like, I may have a mustache starting to grow, but if I'm thinking, like, how I actually sound and compare myself to how I was around in 2020, my voice is deeper, but it still sounds like me. It's just that my voice when I was 14 sounded more babyish, because I didn't really snap into puberty into any real degree until around, like, 16. And then even at 16, it hasn't really come out until over the past year or so, where puberty has really actually kicked in. And it's basically like a slow journey, because for me, if I were to look at my 2020 self, it would be a lot different than me right now. My 2020 me was basically just a kid in spectator mode, just watching everything happen. Like, I still remember, like, the long food lines that people had to do. That people had to do. And then, like, the testing centers. Like, I remember a lot of that, even though I never actually had to experience any of it. I remember the mass graves. I remember a fighter jet flying over my house. I remember healthcare workers. Like, I remember that stuff. Like, all that was important. I remember the hurricane season watching it. I remember watching that, the police station in Minneapolis get burned down on live television when I was watching that on my TV at midnight. That was crazy. I was having a lot of fun that night watching that happen live. That was crazy. Like, I watched, like, January 6th on my phone through online classes. Like, that was crazy. I remember laughing at my my physical science teacher, who's not having a mental breakdown now with the current freshmen who are in the building. Like, I remember learning about Chinese foreign national students for the first time, because in the fall 2020 is my first time actually seeing people from China on, like, an actual TV screen. These are actual real people who I haven't seen before. These are interesting. And then it, like, made me, like, eventually I started learning, like, in 2020, I think I didn't like China as much. I didn't like China that much. Basically a typical American. Doesn't know too much. But as time has gone on, I feel like, especially after mid-2021, that sort of, like, hate of China is, like, going away. It's not there like it was. Like, I feel like I'm going from one side of the spectrum. I went from one side of the spectrum, not really, completely. At least in my YouTube feed, it felt like that. So I didn't really get out of the YouTube bubble of, like, left politics on YouTube until about May of 2021. And then the door kind of just opened up from there. Like, I didn't find... I don't think I found videos, I don't think I found the further cautious people. I don't think I found them until around, like, 2022. I don't think I found them until right after the peak of the Omicron wave in January 2022. That's when I actually started realizing it. And I think, after March 7th, not before, I think it was March 4th when they announced it. March 4th, 2022, where they announced on March 7th, the following Monday, that they were going to remove mask mandates. That was the first thing where it was like, I feel like they're doing this way too early. In my mind, it's what was occurring to me. That just felt like, this is way too early to be doing all of this stuff. And then, like, on Monday, it's like, ooh, no one's doing what I'm doing. That's interesting. And then I go through the rest of the school year. Finally are in the community. I look at what's happening. And it becomes very interesting how, like, what I'm seeing, it's, like, very disconnected in how people are acting. But then, when I actually got into junior year and junior year, is when I started noticing, oh, yeah, there's a bit of a problem here. Like, these people weren't coughing like this before. Like, what's going on? That's when I started noticing that. Like, I didn't take off my mask at all, but, like, as I started noticing, like, oh, there's a problem here. I need to start doing something. When you showed me your face, I thought you were an adult, but then I remembered you were doing a school project, so I was confused. I'm 17, almost. Yeah, no, I'm 17 right now. In about 7 months, I will be 18. So, my birthday falls perfectly right before school. The next school grade would start anyway. So, whatever my age is will be my grade as long as I keep my grades up. Asian culture and American culture is very different. I used to live in Japan. It was so different. Well, Japanese culture is very different than American culture. I think it will always be like that. I wouldn't lump all Asian culture up together, though, since there is Korean culture and there is Chinese. You have Mongolians as well, Filipinos. Like, there's plenty of different cultures in Asia because it's a huge continent full of many diverse land masses and people. So I would say it really depends where you've been to. Like, I know Japan has a harder work ethic that leads to more isolation and suicide, but they have better technology and robots, and they don't have the same political polarization as in the United States. Like, there's a lot more community purpose over there, I feel. I do know that there is a Chinese student in my school. I have to ask them questions about China because they've actually been born there. And I actually want to know what it's like because there's plenty of questions that I need to be able to actually ask a person who's actually been a place. Like, that's the thing I think is most valuable. Like, oh, you live there? How's it like there? It's a very interesting process when you learn, like, oh, this person lives here. This person lives here. This person lives here. This is what life is like there. This is very interesting. Yeah, the bad side of Japan is that people are very overworked. Yeah. I think that's the main bad thing about what's going on over there. And I think that's definitely addressable if they try to reform their economic system. Capitalism tends to do that, but they could, even though I would prefer it, capitalism not being a thing, I would say that if they wish to reform it, they can go ahead with it, because if they can reform it to help them out by having to completely find a new system to rebuild the entire society around, I think it would be pretty good. As a good solution until they can find a better system for themselves. Like, I live in New Jersey. I thought that Ruby lived in New York. That's why, like, when they text me and ask, like, whoever, I guess, like, because I was wearing an N95 at the time because I was about to go inside. I sent them the photo and they were like, are those things still required? That was, like, the main thing that, like, made a question mark in my head, like, there's no real place in the United States at the current moment in 2023 where any, like, health measures necessarily required. They don't necessarily do that here anymore. I mean, it's sad because I look at how people are getting sick and I'm not sick. But at the same time, it's like I want to try and tell them about it, but I don't know that they will understand. But I also don't want to insult them as I know it's not their fault. Like, it's a very hard thing to do. Yeah, I know, you said there's a lot of country people. And I know it's in CST. But I mean, if there's French people there, it's probably somewhere, like, I guess pretty far north. Because it doesn't snow in, it hasn't really snowed in the south too much. Like, I imagine it's somewhere like, if I had to guess, it would be somewhere like Illinois. Or in the upper Midwest somewhere. Because at least from the way you type, it doesn't seem to be any... how do I say? It doesn't seem like you would speak from the South, at least from the way you're typing. This seems like a very northern United States way of speaking. It's how the messages are formatted. It's very northern. It does have the southern feel to it. Oh, well, to be honest, I haven't been everywhere in the country, so I wouldn't be able to tell. The only thing I can really say is just based off of what I've seen from other people. Now, I would say, I am in New Jersey. I know that Ruby is actually in North Carolina, presumably, since it actually snowed down there, and they said it hasn't snowed for years. That probably should have been a hint to me that they don't live in the state of New York. Because I thought they did, but they don't. They live south of where I do. And I remember they mentioned tornado warnings to me. I remember they mentioned that August 15th. Alright, that's fine. I'm guessing you have to sleep now. But yeah, they live in North Carolina. I think it's that extreme northwest part of North Carolina is where they live in. They live in a pretty rural area. Or they live in that southern part of Virginia. I think I have it actually narrowed down now. Considering everything. Because I know it snows. I know they've been to the beach before. It took 3 hours to get to the beach. So now, with all those concept clues in I guess my calculation booth. I can make a pretty good estimate that they're somewhere around the the North Carolina, Virginia border. On the western part of their state. Which, if they're homeschooled for that reason, could be an interesting topic to talk to them about. The Tucson? I was born in Tucson. Okay, that's Tucson, Arizona. Then moved before I was a year old, moved back, then moved away. Tucson is... forgetting what part of Arizona that's in. I know it's not in the northern part of the state. I think it's somewhere in the central part of the state, south of there. It's somewhere in that area. I mean, considering you're getting off for snow, you're probably in a midwestern state. If I have to think, or you could be in a plain state, although that wouldn't be as realistic. Because not really too many people actually live in the plains. I mean, there's a decent amount of people who live in Texas, but there aren't too many people who actually live in the plains themselves. And most people who live in Texas live in the major cities anyway. And that's way too far south for the type of snow that you were talking about. It's interesting. I don't know. I usually like having these types of streams. These are actually pretty good, if I'm going to be honest. Having a late night stream where I have like a few people come on and talk is a very interesting experience, I would say. People really like crawfish. Is this Minnesota? Well, I have a feeling this is Minnesota somewhere. Like, I know crawfish comes from the Great Lakes. It could also kind of be in the river, but I think that's more of a lake thing. We're not just randomly eating seafood. Although crawfish isn't seafood, I don't think. I think that's freshwater food. I don't know what state really likes crawfish. I know Wisconsin likes cheese. Hold on, let me actually search. Louisiana, Mississippi, Southeast Texas. Louisiana? It doesn't really snow too much there. Mississippi is more plausible than that. I don't think it's that far. Couldn't really be that far. Louisiana? Oh. Oh wait, yeah, it did snow there. Okay, that kind of narrows it down. That's that northern part of the state. Yeah, I remember. I remember all the hurricanes that hit there in 2020 and 2021. I remember that. I don't know how that state's economy hasn't collapsed at this point, but somehow it's still existing. But then I guess there is plenty of swamp there. You guys are pretty used to dangerous weather, so I guess that's how it makes it through. It's interesting. I mean, I know it gets very hot down there during the summer. And I know fall arrives there sometime in October. Like the shelf waters there cool down by the time October comes around. When are you doing a 12 a.m. stream again? I could probably do one for you again tomorrow if you wish. I could probably do one for you tomorrow. It's a lot of fog this morning. Okay, yeah, you're definitely probably in northern Louisiana then. I'm gonna be honest, because there was no fog here. Actually, I might be lying. I'm in northeastern New Jersey. I don't think there's any fog here. Yeah, I know it's a humid heat because you guys are in... Your state has swamp, it has forest, and it's next to a warm body of water, so it would be a humid heat most of the time. You can still have drought though, which is a bit ironic. It could be humid heat, but there's no rain. Which is, I don't know. That was kind of what the summer 2022 was here. How it felt. To be fair, at least around late August and early September, the first real cold front usually clears through here, and it's very cool at night. Well, not very cool, but let's just say it's not a warm night. It's a cool night, a cool to slightly chilly night for the first cold front, and then afterward it gets significantly colder. Like, by the time it's October, it's already almost freezing at night in the middle of the month. Like, it's not. The cold gets here pretty quickly. And it doesn't warm up too quickly until around May, where it hovers around 70 degrees during the afternoon and 50 degrees at night. And then afterward is when summer actually kicks in. Summer usually kicks in after mid-June. That's when it really actually kicks in. And it lasts until late August, and then it starts shutting down. I mean, if I were in Louisiana this year, at least for hurricane season, I probably wouldn't want to be there for right now. Because it seems like, at least this year, in contrast to last year, almost everything will be pulling into you this year. Whereas last year, everything would have been missing you. So, that's not a good thing. We definitely don't want more Lauras and Idas coming around. Although, maybe you probably won't see. There's a chance that you don't see one, especially if the La Niña doesn't develop as quickly. But if it develops any faster, you guys might actually kind of be screwed this year, if I'm gonna be honest. Also, be technically the first year where I could actually Like, I guess learn how to drive, even though I should already know how to drive by now. I don't know. I'm gonna start going to sleep now since I have to wake up early. Bye, Storm. Bye, Agent 4. Thanks for being here on stream. And giving me company. I guess I'll be here tomorrow. Alright. Playing against E-Leader. Interesting. Okay. Starting to get better with this weapon. Give it a few more tries. Oh, I'm dead. Oh well. It's alright. I should have gotten the kill. I'm terrible. My job. Let me jump to this thing. Solar. Alright, there we go. Easy win. Yeah, I think I'll end the stream here. I think that's a decent way to leave the stream off. Yeah. Alright, I'll end the stream here. Try to get some rest. I like that Agent 4 came by, and we'll see them next time. For anyone else who is here, who is lurking, or anything else, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I will try to be back here tomorrow. And yeah. See you guys next time.